first of all, why does it have to have a physical form? What, because we do? Like, it could have things that do its bidding for it. It could have a series of drones and bots and a bunch of stuff that do physical work, and it could exist completely on hard drives. So all it needs is shelter. That's it.
Yeah, but if those drones are doing labor, they're doing work, that's energy, right? You're using energy. So I think, maybe you can get around it.
Right, but what is the energy?
Right,
the thing is, like, what is our version of energy? Is combustion, electricity from nuclear power, making steam.
Right.
We've got a bunch of versions of. What if they figured out fusion? What if they figured out cold fusion? What if they figured
I don't think that matters. I don't think that matters, because unless we don't understand thermodynamics, but probably the strongest thing we have is the conservation of energy and thermodynamics, right? So if you do computation in these data centers or even on your laptop, it warms up. Right, and there's no way around that, right? Whenever you put energy in, that same energy has to come back out. Otherwise, it's just sort of trapped in there forever. So the conservation of energy demands that energy has to come back out. It will come out at a different temperature. It could come out as neutrinos. It could come out as gravitational waves, but it has to come back out in some way. So normally, when we look for these advanced civilizations, we've done searches for these things. And they're really just energy transformers. It's probably not even worth saying like Dyson sphere or some particular structure. It's just something that converts star energy into waste energy. That's what we've searched for. And we've searched for over 100,000 nearby stars for them. There's not a single one that shows that behavior. And 100,000 galaxies around us. And we don't see it on mass scale in any of those galaxies. So unless they're doing something that goes against, thermodynamics, they have super magical technology we can't imagine. It's hard to believe that story makes sense. And I guess in terms of their behavior, what I'd say to you is you kind of are falling into what we sometimes call the monocultural fallacy, some of my colleagues call. And that's the imagining that all of these alien AGIs or biologicals, whatever they all do the same thing. Everyone does exactly the same thing. But there's probably going to be a diversity of behaviors, right? It's pretty rare that everyone in the room wants to do exactly the same thing. So it's not unreasonable. There'll be some loud civilizations, there'll be some quiet ones, there'll be some blowing themselves up with nukes, there'll be some who are pacifists. And
of course, just like there's different kinds of galaxies,
right,
different kinds of solar systems.
I mean, infinite diversity and infinite combinations, right?
I think the most horrific idea is that we're alone, that we're not living in a universe that's filled with life. That this is just some weird freak incident.
Well, I think I'm a little bit controversial because I'm one of the few colleagues of mine, well, I'm not a colleague of myself, but one of the few astronomers I know who concede that we might be alone. I'm open to that idea. I'm not saying it's true.
Well, we don't have any evidence that we're not alone.
I think
so. It is a possibility.
Yeah, I think, and it really kind of pisses me off, to be honest, when an astronomer is interviewed in a situation like this. And they're asked, do you think there are aliens out there? And say, yeah, of course. How can there not be? How can there not? The universe is so big, blah, blah, billions of stars. Of course, ergo, there must be aliens. But we have no idea what the probability of life starting is. I mean, even to make a moderate-sized protein. A protein is just a chain of amino acids, and there's about 20 that go into making a protein. And a moderate-sized protein has 150 proteins in a row connected together. So the chance of amino acids randomly coming together to make even a moderate-sized protein is 20 to the power of 150. So that's 10 to the power of 195, right? So one with 195 zeros after it. It's just incredibly unlikely that would happen by chance. And we've never observed it in the lab. No one's ever got amino acids to spontaneously form anything like a life form or proteins in a laboratory setting. So it is plausible. There's some unknown mechanism that accelerates that process, and we just haven't found it yet. But it's also plausible it was just incredibly unlikely. And maybe if you look out across 10 to the 22 stars in our universe, observable universe, there's just one success. Now, the universe is probably infinite, so probably if you travel far enough, you'll eventually come to someone else.
Maybe.
But by all intents and purposes, we may as well be alone in that case, because they're outside our observable universe, so who cares what they're up to? So I'm open to that possibility. I'm not saying it's likely, but I think as a good scientist, I can't tell you, yeah, of course there is, because that's now falling into experimenter's bias. I'm deciding what the answer is before I've done the experiment. That's not my job. My job is to figure out the answer.
Of course, yeah. There's no way you could say for sure until we have real information.